All right, today we are diving deep into what I like to call the rules of the game for understanding behavior. We're talking about the 6 pillars of behavior science. This is the stuff that separates real, powerful insight from, well, just guessing. It's all about learning how to think like a scientist and not a psychic. So let's just start with the biggest question there is, right? Why do we do the things we do? I mean, we all try to figure it out. We have our little theories for why our kids are acting up or why we keep procrastinating. But let's be honest, most of the time, our tools for explaining it all are kind of messy. And that really brings us to this huge distinction. Over on one side, you've got what we can jokingly call behavior astrology. Explanations based on vibes, a gut feeling, a hunch, or maybe you just blame the fact that Mercury is in retrograde. It's all guesswork. But on the other side, you have behavior science. And this is all about observable data, real patterns, and figuring out cause and effect. And that is the powerful path we are going to walk down today. Okay, so let's build this entire framework from the ground up. We're going to start with the 2 most foundational rules that absolutely everything else rests on. It all comes down to 2 things: cause and data. First up, we've got determinism. Now, the core idea here is actually really simple, but it's also incredibly profound. Stuff happens for a reason. Behavior isn't just random chaos, it's lawful. Every single action, from a toddler throwing a fit to you deciding to watch this, it has an identifiable cause. Believing this is what gives us permission to even start looking for answers. And this just nails it. Instead of throwing our hands up and blaming the cosmos or a full moon, determinism forces us to put on our detective hats. We start looking for patterns. We look at the antecedents, what happened right before, and we look at the consequences, what happened right after. This simple shift changes everything. It turns us from confused spectators into actual investigators. Okay, our second foundational rule is empiricism. This is the show me the data pillar. It's this non-negotiable rule that says our knowledge has to be built on things we can actually see, observe, and measure. No gut feelings, no assuming we know what someone is thinking, absolutely no mind reading allowed. And this is the heart of empiricism in action. It's about moving from vague, dramatic storytelling to specific, scientific observation. See, he always tantrums. That's drama. But he tantrumed 4 out of 5 times when we asked him to take a bath. Now that is data. And it's that kind of precision that actually lets us understand what's happening and, do something about it. So we've got our foundation of cause and data. Now let's get into the application rules. These are the principles that guide how we actually use this knowledge in the real world. And it all boils down to 2 things: simplicity and success. This brings us to a beautiful concept called parsimony. You might already know it as Occam's razor. The idea is so simple. Don't make things complicated if they don't have to be. Always, always start with the simplest, most straightforward explanation for a behavior before you go jumping to some wild, complex, abstract theory. I mean, this is a perfect example, right? A student cries during math class. Now, is it possible that he's reliving some deep-seated academic trauma from his preschool days? Maybe. But the parsimonious, scientific approach says, let's test the simplest idea first. Does crying get him out of doing his math problems? If the answer's yes, well, that's our starting point. And then we have pragmatism. This one is the ultimate reality check. It basically says that a theory or an intervention is only as good as its results in the real world. We care way less about how elegant or brilliant an idea sounds on paper, and way more about whether it actually works, if it actually creates positive change. I just love this example because it's so blunt and so true. Look, the goal isn't to use the fanciest plan that's been blessed by the gods of theory. The goal is to help people. If a simpler strategy that's easier for everyone to actually do works better in the real world, pragmatism demands that we choose that one every single time. Effectiveness is king. All right, so we've got our foundation and our application rules. Now for the final pair, the evolution rules. These are the ones that explain how behavior actually changes over time. And, just as important, how we have to constantly challenge what we think we know. Selectionism. Now, this is a really cool idea. It basically says that behavior evolves. Think about it. Just like natural selection in biology favors traits that help a species survive, the environment selects our behaviors based on what happens right after we do them. It's the engine of learning and change. And here's exactly how that works in real life. A kid shares a toy, and bam, they get a ton of praise and a hug from a parent. That positive consequence, the praise, makes the behavior of sharing way more likely to be selected again in the future. The environment, through reinforcement, is literally shaping that child's behavior over time. Okay, our final pillar might just be the most important one for any true scientist: philosophic doubt. This is all about a deep commitment to being skeptical about everything, especially your own great ideas and conclusions. See, science isn't about finding some permanent, unchangeable truth. It's a self-correcting process of constantly questioning, testing, and refining what we think we know. This really gets to the heart of scientific humility. Let's say your plan was working like a charm, but now it's just not. A scientist doesn't dig in their heels and blame the client. Nope. They take a step back and say, okay, time to question my approach. Let's reevaluate the data. It's this constant self-correction that keeps the science effective and, frankly, ethical. Okay, we have officially covered all 6 pillars. That's a lot, I know. So now, let's tie it all together with a really fun analogy that's going to make everything just click into place. Let's think about it like a TV crime show. This makes it so clear. So, in our crime show, determinism is the detective's core belief that there's always a motive. Crimes don't just happen. Empiricism? That's your hard evidence. The crime scene photos, the fingerprints, the forensics lab. Parsimony is the lead detective suspecting the butler first before inventing some long-lost evil twin. Pragmatism is all about actually solving the case and getting the bad guy, not just writing a beautiful report to impress the district attorney. Selectionism explains the criminal's MO, why they keep using the same method, because it keeps working. And philosophic doubt? That's the moment the whole team is about to close the case, and the lead detective says, wait a minute, let's double-check the DNA on this one more time. So, you might be thinking, why did we just spend all this time talking about these big philosophical rules? Well, because this isn't just some boring academic exercise. These rules have a massive impact on how we solve real-world problems. You see, at the end of the day, these pillars are what make this a science. They make sure we're working with evidence, not just assumptions. They push us to create solutions that actually work and make a difference. They demand that we stay humble and keep getting better. They are the bright, clear line that separates real, effective behavior science from flimsy, wishy-washy behavior astrology. And that's it, the 6 pillars. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Now that you have this scientific toolkit, what's a behavior in your own life, maybe with your kids, your partner, or even yourself, that you used to think was just random or unexplainable, that maybe isn't so unexplainable anymore?